Good evening, everyone. Yeah, it is a little late here, and I'm probably looking a little bit draggled because, of course, the Commonwealth Games have been on over in Birmingham, UK, at the point at this time when this video is being recorded, and I live in New Zealand, so I've been sitting up quite late so I can watch some of the live action. But anyway, I want to talk a bit more today about burnout. So if this is something that's affecting you as a writer, an author, or any form of creative really, then maybe listen through and see if I can help you at all. Hi there, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lisa Oliver. I am an author of MM Paranormal Romances, and I have been writing for the past 8 years and self-publishing all my work. I live comfortably on the income that I make from my books, and I'm wanting to show you how to do it. If you want to learn more about me, then please search for me in Google, Lisa Oliver Author, or in Amazon, just Lisa Oliver is fine. Right. The other day, or last week, I did a video about burnout, which is, I will link up here somewhere. And we discussed, it's something I've been dealing with this past 6 months, and I know that an awful lot of other people, writers in particular, but creatives of all kind, have been feeling it. When you take in the world pressures to do with the COVID, the possibility of a recession, um, the war in Ukraine, that is impacting everybody worldwide. Life's a bit blubbered scary at the moment, and that's without what's going on in your own home. We're now learning that you can get COVID more than once. So if you're, somebody that's, sending your children to school, like is what's happening here in New Zealand, is our children are going to school and then coming home with it, and then they come home and they have to spend a week at home, and so does everybody else. And for parents in particular, this is so difficult. And then maybe you've lost your job. Maybe you were hoping your author work is actually going to be, that you'll sort of ticket out of a full-time job, because it can be, believe me, it can. But when you compound depression, anxiety, stress, fear, and they come from these outside sources, and you really have no control over them in your own life at all, then burnout is a very real thing. And after my last video, I did get a number of DMs, PMs, and video emails. Thank you all so much for responding and letting me know your story. And one thing, of course, that really hit home to me was, of course, our situations are all different. For me personally, I live with complex PTSD. I've had it for over 20 years, and I have learned to manage my life, to get by. And I do, I get by, I'm perfectly fine. But what I find is that I do struggle a lot with anxiety and fear, particularly living alone. And I also struggle with, that's actually the converse of it. I also have issues if I have to go out and be part of a group or something. Actually, doing these YouTube videos was one way of me proving to myself that I could talk to a group of people. Probably wasn't quite what a previous therapist might have mentioned or might have intended, but I'm doing this and I'm getting somewhere. So, let's I'll do me. So thank you. But the point is that there are so many things, and for everybody, it is different. I live alone, so I don't, and my children are all grown. I have grown children and grandchildren. When I see them, I visit them, and it's fun and it's happy. But I couldn't imagine what it would be like if it was like 10, 15 years ago and I was raising those children and living with the circumstances we live with now. That would be really difficult. And then I decided I wanted to write as well. I did used to write when my children were small, and as they got a bit older, I homeschooled them because basically they just didn't want to go to school. I wanted them to be able to do the basic things, you know, like totting up a budget, working out what groceries you need to feed a family of 6 for a week, and things like that. And I taught them that, and they left home and went on their merry way. That was fine. They've got trades, they've got careers. I'm very proud of my children. But when they were home, I used to be able to say to them, because they were older, hey, look, you know, unless somebody's dying or you can see bone or blood, arterial blood spray, when I'm writing, don't disturb me for the next hour. And my children were older, I could do that. But what if you've got young kids underfoot? What if you've got one of them that's teething and just will not sleep? And what if that same little one keeps you up half the night because they will not sleep? And you so desperately want to write some words on your story and you just can't. All of these things, all of these pressures, whether it be financial or family or mental health or anything at all, they all impact us in different ways, and they are all, rather loosely, called writer burnout or creativity burnout. Because how on earth can you be creative? How on earth can you immerse yourself in your creative process? How on earth can you delve into your characters and shut out the rest of the world and write when you've got somebody tagging on your ankle going, Mum, I'm hungry? It is really difficult. And I do talk about things like how to find time when you haven't got any. Definitely hunt that one out. It does help make a few suggestions. Common sense things, but when you stress, sometimes common sense just flies straight out the window. But the biggest thing I felt I needed to mention, and why I wanted to do this second video, was that because, as simplistic and trite as it sounds, it is also true. You need to find your joy. Very simple. You need to find your joy. When I first started writing, I was in the middle of a marriage breakup. My husband and I had grown apart. I literally started writing the love stories that I wanted to be in. Admittedly, I did them with 2 men, but, you know, I wasn't in the mood to write about women's perky bits. You know, not when I was feeling so bad about myself. So I wrote about the loves that I wanted, you know, with a person who was protective and possessive and who wanted you and cared about you. And I wrapped it in a whole ball of, you know, shifter fantasies, because why not? You know, it's what I wanted and it was in my head, and I put it down. And I started writing and I didn't stop. My marriage stopped. I think it was, my first book was published in February 2014 and my marriage ended in November of 2014. So there you go. You know, and we ended very amicably. I'm not, you know, saying that that's a bad thing. That actually didn't contribute to burnout. What happened was I continued to write the love stories that I believe we all deserve. So that's what I do. That's what I write. But as you get older and you get tireder and you get more, you know, that feeling, you know, no, I'm not even going to say it. I was going to say something, but I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to put it out there because I believe words have power. But what I do when and it is a crucial part of when I'm dealing with burnout and I'm struggling to write, and I have been for the last 6 weeks to 2 months. My internet is still not on properly, and please, we won't go there, because as far as stressors go in a modern country, the fact that I can't get fibre in a town is ludicrous. But anyway, no, we're not going there either. Finding your joy. That's what's important. Now, one of the key things is, if you're an experienced writer and you've been writing for a while and you've written stories you've really enjoyed and things like that, and you can't write the new one, that's fine. Go back and read your old stuff. Read it as a reader. Remind yourself how you felt when you wrote those pages, when you wrote those stories, and how good they made you feel. That's where you find your joy in your writing. And I can hear you other newbies saying, oh, but what about me? I haven't got anything I've written yet. And now I feel like I can't even write. And God, that must be such a horrible way to feel. And I totally do understand. But you know what? You find your joy in other things. And I mean silly things, okay? Because joy is unfettered. Joy is hilarious. Joy is quiet comfort. Joy is being grateful and feeling honoured and awesome about the fact you got out of bed this morning. So to find your joy. Wrong page. I had notes because I had ideas. For you newbie authors, read the authors you love. One of my favourites, back when I'm feeling like I can't write very well, is Sandrine Gastillon, the late Sandrine Gastillon, I'm afraid. But I had the pleasure once of that wonderful woman who has written so many amazing stories in my genre. She was like the queen of our genre. And she private messaged me once on Facebook to tell me that she really enjoyed a scene in my book. I didn't even know she read them. But she was like that. She was an amazing lady. And she gave so much to our community. But the point I'm making is I still feel that joy. When I read her books, I feel that joy. She's who I want to be when I grow up, you know, as an author. Because her words gave me joy, the depth in her characters, the emotions she could evoke on the page, they were incredible. I have so many other authors in my genre like that. If I want to laugh, I know I go to A.J. Sherwood. If I want Alice Winters with her incredible, oh God, there's just so many. And I'm not going to rattle them off because it's really just not fair. But I find my joy in books. I've been finding my joy in reading since I was 4 years old. So if reading is something that you enjoy, and I imagine it would be because that's why you thought to become an author in the first place, then immerse yourself in those works that remind you of how wonderful the written word is and how wonderful a crafted story is. And then remind yourself that you are just as capable of doing it because you put your pants on the same way as that author. And go back out there and give it another go. And if you can't, for whatever reason, then I mean it. Do something silly. Now, what did I have as suggestions? Okay, I had 3 of them. In New Zealand here, it's winter. So if I went down the beach, it'd be empty. I mean, we don't have bitterly horrible weather. Well, down South Island maybe, but where I am, we don't. I could go to the beach and it would probably be empty. What about dancing on the beach? Have you got an empty beach somewhere? Why don't you dance at the beach? Or if you're feeling really stressed and irritable, why don't you scream at the sea where no one can hear you? Just the sea, a pounding sea. Scream. Let it out. Express something. Express something real. We spend ourselves so contained, being so prim and proper and everything else. We don't dare tell people that things are going wrong. But what is wrong with going out there and dancing on the beach? And if you don't want to dance, then yell and scream and stamp, and the sea don't care. Sand don't care. The seagulls might think you're funny, but hey, who speaks seagull anyway? Have fun with it. Feel it. You need to feel. We all need to feel. And it can't be anger anymore. Because anger and hate and division and everything else is separating us all. We don't need any more of that shit. And I mean it. We don't need any more of that shit. We need joy and laughter and fun. And that's what your stories can bring to the world. So we need for you to write them. So if it takes you going down the beach and stamping your feet and flinging your arms around and being an absolute loon, do it. You'd be amazed at how freeing it is. Yes, I've done it. It feels freaking amazing. It really does. And it's empowering. It's empowering because you're letting stuff go. And that honestly is really important. If you don't want to do that, get a couple of canvases. You must have you guys in the States, I think you have Dollar Tree, don't you? And then I think in the UK, is it Dollar Tree too? Or is it Michael's or something? Anyway, cheap craft shops, you know what I'm talking about? Here in New Zealand, we have gold coin shops. That's what they're called. $2 shops they used to be, but, you know, then they started putting the prices up. So now it's called the gold coin shops. Go in there, cut a couple of big canvases. Get a half a dozen of those cheap poster paints. It's all you need. And a litre of, like a white glue, like a PVA glue or an Elmer's craft glue or something like that, okay? Take that home, mix your glue with your paints in cups, and start splashing it over the canvases and let them dry. Create chaos. Confined chaos. You know, obviously put a tarp down so you're not splashing your walls. The first time I did it, and I used a hairdryer because I was doing the Dutch pours, the blow painting. The first time I did it, I clearly don't use a hairdryer, right? So but I bought a hairdryer especially. I used the hairdryer, and I clicked it on, and I clicked it on too fast, and I had a mass of paint on the canvas already, and I was just going to blow it around to make pretty patterns. I just went like that, and it went whoosh, and I covered the canvas, the table, and the wall beyond. Clearly had too much paint, but hey, it was fun. So do that. And you know what? If you're the quiet type, and I do know that too, because I can be like that, you know one of the things I love most of all? In the dead of night, when the moon's high, especially when she's full, I go and stand out on my porch. Everybody else in the neighbourhood is asleep. You can't see anything. It's really awesome. We haven't got any road lights down here, so I can go and slip out onto the porch. Nobody even knows I'm there. And sometimes I will just stand there, being bathed in the moonlight. And yes, I am clothed, because I'm an old lady, and I don't want to get done for indecency. But I will stand out there, being bathed by the moon's light, and just hug myself and just say thank you. Because even though the world might not feel like we've got a lot to be thankful for at the moment, I solved that problem by deciding my one achievement every day was to get out of bed. Burnout or not, I got out of bed and I got dressed. I was already on a win. So why don't you try it? Find your joy. And please, if you've got other suggestions, please throw them in the comments below to share. Because honestly, it's amazing how fast hate, anger, and division can spread around the world. But for those of us who actually want to try and help people and push a bit of love and inclusiveness and joy around the world, we have to give that a bit more of a push. Okay? So if you want to do that, please drop your ideas in the comments below, because I promise I respond to everyone. In the meantime, if you did enjoy this, please hit the like and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that little notification bell. It honestly does help my YouTube channels. Honestly, you guys bring me joy, because I spend 99.9% of my life alone. So chatting to you guys is like talking to a friend. So yeah, keep listening, please, and yeah, because I love having new friends, especially when you're on the other side of the screen, because yeah, as I say, PTSD is still a thing. But anyway, my friends, hug the ones you love, and until the next video, if I can help at all, please get in touch. And otherwise, until next time, bye.